Okay, let's dive in. Artificial intelligence. I mean, it's not science fiction anymore, is it?
Not all, it's everywhere.
Right. It's woven into, well, pretty much everything. Our music playlists, how doctors look at scans, even deciding if you get a loan.
And increasingly, these AI systems are making decisions that really affect us individually and, as a whole society.
It's becoming really clear that as AI gets more powerful, we absolutely have to understand the ethics behind it.
Yeah, you can't just unleash this technology without thinking through the potential downsides, the challenges.
Exactly. And that's what this deep dive is all about, getting to the heart of the ethical issues in AI.
We're aiming to pull out the key insights from a pretty broad look at the field.
Yeah, especially for you, our listener. We know you want to get up to speed quickly, but, properly.
Think of it as the essential knowledge without getting bogged down in loads of technical jargon.
Our mission here is really to unpack the core concerns, the big questions around AI ethics, so you walk away feeling well-informed.
Because understanding this stuff, it's not just like an optional extra anymore. It's fundamental if we want to use AI responsibly.
So, where do we even start? I guess one of the biggest things that keeps coming up is bias, algorithmic bias. This idea that AI systems can actually produce unfair or discriminatory outcomes.
Right. Sounds straightforward, but it gets complicated fast. How can something designed to be objective, make biased decisions?
Yeah, how does that happen?
Well, mostly it's because AI learns from data. And if that data reflects existing societal biases, inequalities, well, the AI learns them too.
And potentially makes them worse.
Potentially, yeah. It can amplify those biases.
Okay, so it's not like the AI is trying to be unfair, it's the input.
Largely, yes. It's learning the patterns it's shown. But where those patterns, those biases creep in, well, there are quite a few places. The source material breaks it down well.
Starting with the data itself, that seems to be the main culprit usually.
It often is, yeah. There are several ways bias gets into the data. First, there's historical bias.
Okay, what's that?
That's when the data reflects past discrimination or societal biases. Think about using decades of hiring data to train an AI.
Right. If certain groups weren't hired for specific roles in the past.
Exactly. The AI learns that pattern and might unfairly disadvantage applicants from those groups, even if things have changed now. It sort of perpetuates the past.
Even if data collection is perfect today, wow.
Yeah. Then you've got representation bias, or sometimes called selection bias.
That sounds like the data doesn't really match the real world.
Precisely. The training data isn't diverse enough. It doesn't reflect the population the AI will actually encounter.
Like the facial recognition examples.
Classic example. Yeah. Trained mostly on lighter skin, performs worse on darker skin. Or speech recognition struggling with certain accents because it was trained on a limited set.
Okay. And how we collect the data can be a problem too.
Definitely. That's measurement bias. The way you gather or measure the data is flawed or doesn't really represent what you think it represents.
Can you give an example?
Sure. Using arrest rates as a proxy for crime rates. Policing patterns can be biased, so arrest rates might not accurately reflect underlying crime levels across different communities.
Right, that makes sense.
Or in healthcare, using how much someone spent on care in the past to predict their future health needs.
Because some groups might have had less access to care, so they spent less, even if their needs were high.
Exactly. It underestimates their actual needs.
Okay, got it. And then humans get involved in labeling data.
Yep, label bias. This is when the humans assigning labels like positive or negative sentiment or identifying objects in images do it inconsistently or bring their own subjective biases.
So different people labeling the same thing might disagree.
For sure. Or the labels might be too narrow. Like only labeling pictures where a CEO is a white man. The AI then struggles to recognize CEOs who don't fit that image.
It seems like bias can creep in everywhere, even if you try to remove sensitive stuff like race or gender.
Yeah, that leads to another tricky one. Proxy discrimination.
Proxy, like standing in for something else.
Exactly. You remove, say, race, but the AI uses other seemingly neutral data points, like ZIP codes or maybe shopping habits that are highly correlated with race or other protected attributes.
So it's just taking out the obvious stuff doesn't work.
Often, no. The AI just finds other ways to make the same bias distinctions. It's subtle.
So data is a huge source, but the algorithms themselves can have issues too.
Absolutely. Algorithmic bias. This is about the design of the AI itself.
How so?
Well, it could be how developers weight different factors or biased assumptions built into the model's structure, or even the optimization process. Maybe it's designed to maximize overall accuracy, which can sometimes mean performing poorly on minority groups.
Okay. And then there's bias that shows up only when the AI is actually used. Deployment bias.
Right. An AI might seem fine in testing, but then issues emerge in the real world.
Like what kind of issues?
Well, the data in the real world changes over time. That's model degradation or data drift. The AI's performance might worsen or become biased in new ways.
So it needs updating.
Constantly monitored, yeah. Then there's using an AI for something it wasn't designed for. Off-label use.
Like the compass system, the risk assessment tool.
That's often cited, yeah. Using a tool designed for one purpose in a slightly different context where its biases might have unforeseen negative consequences.
Makes sense.
Also, interpretation bias, how humans understand and use the AI's output, can be biased. And feedback loops.
Where biased outputs feed back into the system.
Exactly. The AI makes a biased prediction that influences human actions, which generate more biased data, which the AI then learns from. It's a cycle.
And underpinning all of this is just human bias, right?
Yeah.
The people building, testing, deploying these things.
Definitely. Cognitive biases of the developers, the labelers, the users. NIST, the National Institute of Standards and Technology, really emphasizes this human element. It affects every stage.
Wow. Okay, so bias can come from data, algorithms, deployment, humans. What are the real-world consequences? This isn't just theoretical.
Far from it. The impacts are significant and often hit vulnerable groups the hardest. Take employment.
Yeah, I mentioned the Amazon example.
Right. Biased resume screeners. There have also been studies suggesting gender bias in job recommendation algorithms on platforms like LinkedIn or EEOC cases looking into age or disability discrimination, possibly linked to AI hiring tools.
And in criminal justice, that seems incredibly high stakes.
Extremely. We've talked about facial recognition having higher error rates for people of color that can lead to wrongful arrests.
Terrifying.
And risk assessment tools used for sentencing or parole, like Compass, have faced intense scrutiny over racial bias in their predictions. Even AI used to generate police reports has shown potential for bias.
And healthcare. You mentioned the spending proxy issue.
Yeah, a major study found an algorithm widely used in U.S. hospitals significantly underestimated the health needs of Black patients because it used cost as a proxy for need. It's a stark example of reflecting systemic inequity.
So the AI basically learned the existing inequality in healthcare access.
Precisely. And there are concerns about biases in diagnostic systems or even the advice given by large language models.
Financial services, too. Credit scores.
Yes.
Yes.
Biased algorithms could lead to unfair loan denials or higher interest rates. The Apple Card controversy, where husbands reportedly got much higher credit limits than wives despite shared finances, raised big questions about gender bias.
And just everyday online stuff. Ads.
Yep. Research suggested Google's algorithms were showing ads for high-paying jobs, predominantly to men, and generative AI.
Like image generators.
Yeah. Asking for images of CEOs might overwhelmingly produce pictures of white men. Or text generation might perpetuate stereotypes. It reflects and reinforces biases in the data it learned from.
Okay, so the problem is clear. It's widespread. What can we actually do about it? How do we work towards fairness?
Well, the first thing to grasp is there's no single magic bullet, no one solution.
Right.
But there are approaches, often grouped by when you apply them in the AI lifecycle. You have pre-processing methods.
Acting on the data before training?
Exactly. Things like collecting more representative data, maybe augmenting data sets, carefully relabeling, or techniques like resampling or reweighting to balance out groups.
Trying to fix the data itself?
Kind of. But remember, we said just removing sensitive attributes, fairness through unawareness, often doesn't work because of those proxies.
Right. So what else?
Then there are in-processing methods. These modify the learning algorithm itself during training.
How?
You might add constraints or penalties regularization to discourage biased outcomes, or use techniques like adversarial debiasing, where you sort of train one part of the AI to be fair, while another part tries to detect bias, building bias-aware algorithms from the ground up.
Okay, intervening during the training and after.
Post-processing methods. These take the AI's output and adjust it to try and achieve a fair outcome, correcting or calibrating the predictions.
It sounds like there are lots of technical tools being developed.
There are, but here's a huge challenge. How do you even measure fairness?
Good question.
There are many different mathematical definitions of fairness. Things like demographic parity, equal opportunity, equalized odds.
And they don't always agree.
Exactly. This is sometimes called the impossibility of fairness. You often can't satisfy all desirable fairness definitions simultaneously. Achieving one might mean sacrificing another.
So choosing which fairness metric to use, that's not just technical.
No, it's a value judgment. What kind of fairness matters most in this specific context? Who gets to decide? It's complex.
So beyond these specific techniques,
You need broader strategies, actively auditing systems for bias, continuously monitoring them once deployed, ensuring there's always meaningful human oversight.
having diverse teams building the AI seems important too.
Crucial. Different perspectives catch different issues. Plus, clear governance frameworks within organizations, transparency about how systems work, mechanisms for user feedback, complying with regulation.
It really takes a village, huh?
It does. Collaboration between developers, researchers, policymakers, civil society. It's essential.
Okay, that's a deep dive into bias and fairness. Let's shift gears slightly, though it's definitely related. Privacy. AI runs on data. Tons of it. How does that affect our privacy?
It's a huge concern. AI's hunger for data is, well, insatiable.
Where does it all come from?
Everywhere. Our web searches, social media posts, what we buy online, data from our phones, smart home devices, sensors in cities. The list goes on.
And the ethical issue is, do we even know this is happening? Did we agree to it?
That's the core problem. Informed consent. Are users truly aware of the extent of data collection and how it will be used? Those long terms of service agreements.
Nobody reads them.
Exactly. They're not really meaningful consent. And the current model is often opt-out collection happens by default unless you actively figure out how to stop it.
Which is often hard or impossible.
Right. There's a growing call for a shift to opt-in models, where collection only happens with explicit permission. Plus, principles like data minimization only collect what's necessary in truly meaningful, understandable consent processes.
But the sheer scale, can individuals even track this anymore?
That's a key point. The scale and opacity, the lack of transparency in how AI uses data, make individual tracking and consent almost impossible. Data collected for one thing can be repurposed for totally different AI training later.
And AI can figure things out about us we never shared.
Yeah, it can infer sensitive information, health conditions, political views, personal traits from seemingly innocuous data. This inference power really changes the game. It suggests we need more than just individual consent. Maybe different data governance models are needed.
And this data fuels surveillance, AI-powered surveillance.
That's another major concern, yes. AI dramatically enhances surveillance capabilities, facial recognition, despite its flaws.
is being deployed more and more.
Right. And AI video analytics can process huge amounts of footage, identify people, track movements, even query footage in sophisticated ways, like show me anyone wearing a red hat near the protest.
Wow. And new AI models are making this easier.
Vision language models, or VLMs, that understand both images and text, are making these tools more powerful and cheaper to deploy.
Who's using this?
Governments. Governments are definitely using it. Law enforcement analyzes surveillance footage, body cam video, license plate reader data. National security agencies analyze vast data sets.
What are the worries there?
The potential for perpetual monitoring, a chilling effect on free speech and association, the risk of errors and bias leading to wrongful suspicions or actions. It fundamentally shifts the balance of power between the individual and the state. Groups like the ACLU and EFF are very active on this front.
It feels like a qualitative shift, not just more of the same.
Many argue it is. Pervasive, automated observation by default.
So how do we protect our rights in all this? What about regulations?
The landscape is evolving. Europe's GDPR gives individuals certain rights, including, crucially, the right not to be subject to a decision based solely on automated processing if it has significant effects.
Okay. What about the U.S.?
It's more fragmented. California has the CCPAC PRA with a dedicated protection agency. At the federal level, the FTC Federal Trade Commission is active. They use existing authority to go after unfair or deceptive practices related to data and AI.
So they're applying existing laws.
Yes. They've taken action against companies for misrepresenting privacy practices, making deceptive claims about AI, failing to secure data, or harmful uses of facial recognition. The FTC emphasizes there's no AI exemption from consumer protection laws.
But are these frameworks enough for AI?
That's the debate. Many argue current laws struggle with AI's scale, the re-identification risks, the opacity, the potential for societal-level harm beyond individual privacy violations. Governing the whole generative AI lifecycle is another new challenge.
So calls for new approaches.
Definitely. Things like stronger opt-in consent focusing on the AI data supply chain, maybe data intermediaries or trusts. And there's growing interest in privacy-enhancing technologies, PETs, technical methods to use data while minimizing privacy risks.
Okay, bias, privacy. Let's talk about transparency and accountability, the black box problem you mentioned.
Right, they're tightly linked. If you don't know how an AI reached a decision, how can you trust it? How can you hold anyone accountable if it goes wrong?
Explain the black box again quickly.
It's basically the inability to fully understand the internal logic of complex AI systems, especially deep learning models with millions or billions of parameters. You see the input, you see the output, but the reasoning in between is opaque.
And why is that opacity a problem?
Several reasons. It erodes trust. Remember the clever Hans effect with the horse that seemed to do math but was just reading cues? We need to know the AI isn't just picking up on spurious correlations.
Okay.
It makes debugging incredibly hard. If a self-driving car makes a mistake, you need to know why to fix it. Hidden biases can lurk undetected. Security vulnerabilities might be harder to spot. And fundamentally, it's a barrier to accountability.
So what's the solution? Explainable AI or XAI?
That's the main direction, yeah. XAI aims to make AI decisions more understandable.
Why? What are the goals?
To build trust, help developers debug and improve models, detect and mitigate bias, enable accountability, and meet regulatory requirements for transparency.
How does it work? Are there different types?
Broadly, yes. There are post hoc explanation methods. You apply them to an already trained model to try and understand its predictions.
Like looking inside after the fact.
Sort of. Techniques like LIME or SAPE try to show which input features were most important for a specific decision, or methods like CAM for understanding image recognition.
Okay. And the other type?
Intrinsically interpretable models. These are designed from the start to be transparent.
Like simpler models.
Simpler models, like linear regression or decision trees, yes.
Yeah.
But also newer approaches like self-explaining neural networks or using techniques like chain of thought prompting and large language models to make their reasoning steps clearer. Visualization helps too.
So XAI solves the black box problem.
Well, it helps, but it's not a silver bullet. XAI methods often provide approximations that can sometimes be unstable or even misleading. There's a difference between explaining a decision and that decision being fair or correct.
Okay.
And there's often a gap between technical explanations and what a non-expert user actually needs to understand. Plus, there's a risk of explainability washing.
What's that?
Providing superficial explanations just to tick a box or deflect scrutiny without offering real insight into ethical concerns. True accountability needs faithful, meaningful explanations. It's still a very active research area.
Got it. So explanation is one thing. What about assigning responsibility when AI does cause harm? Who's accountable?
That's the million-dollar question, and it's really tough.
Why is it so hard?
Because of the opacity we just discussed, but also the AI's autonomy, the complexity, and the fact that so many different actors are involved: developers, data providers, deployers, users. It's a distributed responsibility.
Can't existing laws handle it? Product liability, negligence?
They can apply sometimes, but they often struggle. Proving causation that a specific design flaw directly led to the harm can be incredibly difficult with systems that learn and adapt. And AI itself isn't a legal person you can sue.
So there's an accountability gap.
That's the term often used, yes. A gap where harm occurs, but it's hard to hold anyone legally responsible under current frameworks.
Are things changing? Any legal reforms?
There are proposals. The EU's AI Act includes rules, and they've proposed an AI liability directive that aims to make it easier for victims to prove harm, for example, by requiring disclosure of information. There are calls for specific AI legal regimes. The focus is often on lifecycle accountability, documenting processes, rigorous testing, monitoring, clear roles, and always human oversight.
Okay, lots to unpack there. Let's shift focus again to the broader societal level, the socioeconomic impact. AI and jobs, inequality.
Yeah, this is a huge area of discussion and, frankly, anxiety for many people. How will AI change work?
Will robots take all the jobs?
Well, it's more nuanced than that. There's debate about job displacement versus job creation.
Some jobs go, some new ones appear.
That's the general idea. Different studies estimate different levels of job exposure to AI automation. The IMF, OECD have numbers. The World Economic Forum, in a 2020 report looking ahead to 2025, predicted millions of jobs could be made redundant by the shift in labor between humans and machines, but also that many new roles would emerge.
So a net gain or loss?
Their forecast suggested a potential net increase, actually. But the key word is churn. Massive disruption and change.
What kind of new jobs?
AI specialists, data scientists, AI ethics officers, digital transformation specialists, roles focused on leveraging the new tech. And AI can also augment human workers, making them more productive. That could boost GDP.
But the churn, that means people losing jobs need help.
Absolutely. Support for displaced workers, massive investment in reskilling and upskilling, adaptable social safety nets, these become critical.
And the skills needed will change dramatically.
Yes, demand is shifting towards technological skills, obviously, but also higher-order cognitive skills, critical thinking, creativity, complex problem-solving, and crucially, socio-emotional skills, soft skills, teamwork, communication, empathy, things machines aren't good at.
So tech skills plus human skills.
Right. The WEF estimated a huge percentage of core skills would need to change soon. There's a real risk of a skills mismatch, people not having the skills needed for the new jobs, leading to unemployment or underemployment.
How do we bridge that gap?
It needs a concerted effort. Education systems need to adapt. Employers need to invest heavily in upskilling their current workforce, focusing on curiosity and lifelong learning is key. And policymakers need to support these transitions. We're seeing a trend towards skill-based hiring, too, focusing on demonstrated abilities rather than just degrees.
Okay, skills are changing. What about the overall economy? Productivity? Inequality?
AI holds enormous promise for boosting productivity and efficiency. Early studies are showing significant gains in specific jobs when AI tools are introduced.
But the worry is that the benefits won't be shared equally.
That's a major concern. Will AI predominantly benefit capital owners and highly skilled workers, worsening inequality?
What drives that risk?
A few things. One is skill-biased technical change. Technology often favors higher-skilled workers, and some early evidence suggests AI productivity gains are currently concentrated among higher-income workers. Those augmented by AI might see wage increases, while those replaced might see stagnation or loss. Another factor is a potential shift from labor income to capital income. If AI replaces workers, more national income could flow to the owners of the AI technology and the companies deploying it, rather than to wages.
Widening the gap.
Potentially. And gaps could widen between firms. Those that successfully adopt AI might pull away from laggards. And even between nations, worsening the global digital divide.
So organizations like the IMF are warning about this.
Yes, the IMF explicitly warned that AI is likely to worsen overall inequality without proactive policy interventions.
Like what kind of interventions?
Stronger social safety nets, significant public investment in education and retraining, policies that promote worker engagement and transition support, potentially exploring ways for broader ownership of AI capital, ensuring fair competition. A range of things are being discussed.
Right, like come consider on the economic front. Let's turn to one final area, the specific challenges of autonomous systems, AI that acts more independently.
This raises unique ethical questions, especially around safety, reliability, and decision-making in critical situations.
How do you ensure these autonomous systems are safe? They learn and adapt, right?
Exactly. Traditional software testing methods, verification and validation, V&V, aren't always sufficient for complex adaptive AI. The black box nature makes it hard to guarantee they'll behave as expected in all situations, especially novel ones.
So we need new ways to test them.
Yes. New and adapted assurance techniques. Things like massive simulations covering edge cases, using XAI to understand internal states, formal methods to mathematically prove certain properties, robustness testing against unexpected inputs, continuous monitoring during operation runtime assurance, and structured AI assurance frameworks. Context matters hugely, too. Testing needs to reflect the real-world environment.
Okay. What about the decisions they make? Especially in critical moments like self-driving cars. The trolley problem comes up a lot.
The infamous trolley problem for AVs. Should the car swerve to save the pedestrian but harm the occupant or protect the occupant? Utilitarian versus deontological ethics.
Can you program ethics like that?
It's incredibly difficult, partly because humans don't universally agree on the right answer. The moral machine experiment surveyed millions globally and found preferences varied, generally prioritizing humans over animals, saving more lives over fewer, younger over older. But there were significant cultural differences, too.
Is the trolley problem even the right way to think about it?
Many experts argue it's a distraction. These dramatic dilemmas are extremely rare. The focus, they say, should be on mundane, everyday, ethical driving.
Like what?
Programming AVs to strictly follow traffic laws and exercise a high degree of care, only deviating to avoid a collision while still acting reasonably. Research is looking into how humans make moral judgments in more realistic, everyday traffic situations. And liability, who pays when an AV does crash, is still a massive legal challenge.
Okay. And the most extreme case of autonomous decision-making? Lethal autonomous weapons or laws?
Yes, weapon systems that can select and engage targets without direct human intervention. This is hugely controversial.
What are the arguments for them?
Proponents often cite potential military advantages. Speed of reaction, precision, removing human soldiers from harm's way, potentially even better adherence to the laws of war than stressed humans, though that's highly debated.
And the arguments against? The concerns?
They're profound. Grave concerns about compliance with international humanitarian law, particularly the principles of distinction, telling combatants from civilians, and proportionality, avoiding excessive civilian harm in complex, ambiguous environments. Can a machine make those judgments?
The moral argument.
A huge moral objection for many. Delegating life and death decisions to machines violates human dignity. Machines lack human judgment, empathy, moral reasoning.
And accountability.
The accountability gap again. Who is responsible if a lock is an unlawful decision? The programmer, the commander, the machine itself, it's unclear. Plus risks of accidental escalation, arms races, proliferation, and the inherent unpredictability of complex AI.
So what's the key principle being discussed?
Meaningful human control, MHC. There's broad agreement, even among military powers, that humans must remain in control of and responsible for the use of force.
But what counts as meaningful control?
That's the crux of the debate. Does it mean a human in the loop for every decision? On the loop, supervising. Just setting the rules of engagement. Defining MHC operationally is the challenge. International discussions are ongoing, like at the UN Convention on Certain Conventional Weapons, with many calling for a treaty prohibiting law WS that lack MHC.
Wow. Okay, we've covered a massive amount of ground. Bias, privacy, accountability, jobs, autonomy. It's clear these issues aren't separate silos.
Not at all. They're deeply interconnected. Bias impacts fairness, which affects accountability. Privacy enables data collection, which fuels autonomy, but also socioeconomic shifts. It's all linked.
And it all points to this tension, right, between the incredible potential of AI and the absolute need to make sure it aligns with human values.
Exactly. It's a balancing act. We want innovation, but we need to safeguard fairness, rights, safety, and dignity.
So, wrapping up, what are the urgent priorities? What should different groups be doing? Developers, industry.
For them, it's about embedding ethics into practice right from the start. Ethics by design. Investing seriously in bias detection and mitigation, in robust safety and security, in explainability. Establishing clear internal AI governance. Building diverse teams. Being transparent.
And policymakers.
Regulators.
They need to step up. We need clear, enforceable regulations, especially for high-risk AI applications. Addressing those liability gaps we talked about. Strengthening data protection laws for the AI age. Providing oversight for government use of AI. Investing in public AI literacy and worker retraining. Fostering ethical AI research. And international cooperation is vital.
Using existing laws like the FTC does, but maybe needing new ones too.
That seems to be the direction, applying existing laws where possible, but recognizing AI might require specific legislation in some areas.
And the public, civil society, us. Our role is crucial. Staying informed, asking critical questions, demanding transparency and accountability from companies and governments. Supporting organizations working on AI ethics and rights, an engaged public is essential.
So some key recommendations for ethical governance overall.
Adopt comprehensive frameworks, draw on existing standards from places like the OECD, UNESCO, the EU AI Act framework, i.e. NIST, even company principles from Google or IBM, and government guidelines like the USIC's AI ethics framework. Mandate transparency that's appropriate for the context. Ensure meaningful human oversight is always maintained. Implement rigorous auditing. Foster that multi-stakeholder collaboration, and invest in AI literacy for everyone.
It really comes down to responsibility, doesn't it?
It does. Collectively, we bear the responsibility for shaping AI's trajectory, ensuring that as it becomes more advanced, it remains fundamentally human-centered and ethical.
A powerful thought to end on. We need to make sure this powerful tool serves humanity well. For those of you wanting to dig deeper, definitely check out the source materials we drew from for this discussion. There's always more to learn.